The two lessons that you will do today are going to be about insects. And the first one's called a butterfly's life, just like a bug's life. And so you're going to be making butterfly parts. One of the first things you're going to do is make butterfly out of your feet. We're talking about how many steps did it take to get the butterfly to look like this, and how many changes do you go through in your lifetime. They're going to be using books to do a little play with all sorts of parts that they're making. And I would strongly suggest getting caterpillars or butterflies or waiting for wings. I really like this caterpillars and butterflies book because it's actual pictures of eggs and caterpillars and so forth. So when that butterfly is born, you can go visit the flowers and pollinate one another, and eventually they're going to produce the food that you eat. So that's pretty important. After this beautiful lesson, you're going to go be serious and get into a wanted out of my garden. And you're going to get agents to investigate your garden and look for critters on the leaves and damage on the leaves. This is a tomato plant that might have had some aphid damage on here. So from that lesson, you're going to make a guide that you will use in your garden all summer long to look for insects that might be harming your plant and deciding what to do with them. So enjoy the good guys and the bad guys and the beauty of nature as you explore your gardens.
Good afternoon, boys and girls. Good afternoon. We're going to do some lessons today about insects and critters and things that would go into your garden. And our first activity is called the butterfly's life. Does anybody know the big long word that tells us about the butterfly's life cycle? Emma? Isn't that just the longest word? I think science words are so long. So what we're going to be doing is making your own kit or of the four main parts of the butterfly's life cycle. So I have a story called Caterpillars and Butterflies. I'm not going to read the whole story, but we're going to use it to help us make the different parts of the butterfly's life cycle. So we start out with a butterfly. And we don't have butterflies, so the first thing that we're going to do is make our own butterflies. And to make your own butterfly, I'm going to give each one of you a piece of paper. And when you get your piece of paper, I want you to fold it in half. I'm going to make a special butterfly today, and this special butterfly will be part of you. Because what I want you to do is take one of your shoes off and put your foot on paper, just like this. This is my foot. I put my foot on the side of the paper next to the fold and then trace around it. You can do it either way. Use your foot, not your shoe. Okay? If you need a partner to help you, do you think, Mrs. Brockman, that they should do it with a partner or on their own? What do you think?
I think they could choose.
Okay. You need someone to help you? That's fine. Now, make sure that the side of your foot, Emma, has to be next to the fold. You'll cut it when it's folded, and when you open it up, you'll have a butterfly that is like your feet. Hold your butterflies up. We want to see what they look like. You know what's neat about them? Every one of the butterflies is unique because each one of you have different feet, and every one of your butterflies came out unique just like you. On each one of your name tags, I put a little sticky note. I want you to pull that sticky note off right now and put it right in front of you. And that sticky note is to represent your leaf. And butterflies lay as many eggs as they can because many of their eggs never become caterpillars. Something happens to them. They get eaten, they get destroyed. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds to make as many eggs on that leaf as you can. This pencil. Okay, raise up. Count your eggs. How many did you get?
Oh, I don't know how many I got.
You have to have lots of them because you know what? I understand that when a caterpillar emerges from its egg, what do you think the first thing is that the caterpillar eats?
It's shell.
It eats the rest of its shell because you know what? There's a lot of protein in that shell. You have a pipe cleaner. We need to turn it into a caterpillar. To turn it into your caterpillar, you can do one of two things. You can either twirl it around your little pinky, and then when you pull it off, it's ready to crawl, or you can wrap it around a pencil that you have on your desk already. So do one thing or the other. So we're missing one part of your metamorphosis. While you're drawing on the bodies, what is the part we're missing? We have the eggs the caterpillar, the butterfly. What are we missing? All right. While you're drawing on your body parts, I'm going to give each one, this is going to be your chrysalis. So we're using imagination. So we're emerging from the chrysalis, and then she flies away. And it now has become an insect because how many legs does it have?
6.
And what is this type of butterfly that you all recognize because you live in Iowa?
Monarch.
A monarch. Mama butterfly lays all her eggs.
Mama butterfly lays all her eggs.
They have her fly into the leaf. Out pops the caterpillar crawling on its legs.
Out pops the caterpillar crawling on its legs.
Okay, caterpillar's here crawling around. The caterpillar first is rather thin.
The caterpillar first is rather thin.
Caterpillar's skinny. All you do is stretch it out. But then it eats till it bursts through its skin.
Then it eats till it bursts through its skin.
After growing nice and big.
After growing nice and
You
big.
make it be fat again. Pull it all back up. The caterpillar climbs on a leaf or twig.
The caterpillar climbs on a leaf or twig.
It makes a shell where it hangs inside.
Makes a shell where it hangs inside.
The shell then cracks and the parts divide.
The shell then cracks and the parts divide.
Inside the shell a change is going on.
Inside the shell a change is going on.
Presto, change on.
Change on.
The form of the caterpillar now is gone.
Now the caterpillar now is gone.
When the shell opens, what comes out?
When the shell opens, what comes out?
A beautiful butterfly fluttering about.
A beautiful butterfly fluttering about.
Okay, something else that's interesting about butterflies is that they are pollinators. And I need a couple of people to come up here. You know what, Elizabeth, you're right here. Caleb and Chris, why don't you come up here? Elizabeth, you are wearing the perfect color for this. Can you guys just stand across the front? Elizabeth is going to be my cone flower. So she has nectar in her flower, which is the sugar water that is attractive to butterflies and bees. And when they come to her, she has pollen that falls off of her flower. So I'm going to have you be my milkweed. And I gave him a card that says host plant. And if you have a party and you're the host, that means you have to take care of everyone. So he's going to take care of people. And then I have one more card that says butterfly. And you're going to be our butterfly. What kind of butterfly do you want to be? So he has a card that says pollination. So this is what's called plant and animal interdependence. Another big long word. So the coneflower is planted. The milkweed is planted. Can they move? No. So what do we have up here that can actually move?
The
butterfly. What should the butterfly do?
Get nectar and pollen to other plants.
Yep. So what you need to do is fly over to probably the milkweed to lay the eggs on the leaves, right? Perfect. I like the way he did that. That's perfect. So he's laid his eggs on the host plant, and then he needs something to sit on. So then he flies over to the coneflower to get some nectar. So when he collected nectar and a little pollen on his body from her, then he gave her pollination, and so she can make seeds in the little coneflower part, and then he flies on. You also could have gotten nectar from the milkweed, and you could have pollinated him as well, because nectar, milkweeds make seeds as well. So, does that make sense to everybody? We want you to create snacks that are what we would call critter snacks, creative critter snacks, because I know everybody knows certain, there were people, adults, who were trying to think of a good snack for this, and I said, you know what, I bet the 4th graders will be better at creating their own snacks. We want you to think about critters that could be insects, animals that are outside, and I want you to create whatever you want.
This is a flower with a caterpillar on it. This is a butterfly.
This is a butterfly, and that would be laying eggs on a branch.
This is like ants on a log, because that was the first thing I could think of. And then these are The spinach is the milkweed, and then the wasabi peas are the little eggs. Then these are the caterpillars on the little milkweed. And then this is going to be the chrysalis with the little tomato inside.
For our last lesson today, we were going to do part of a lesson called Wanted Out of My Garden. There are lots of creatures and critters, insects, animals that can do damage in your garden, way more than you might think. Can you think of what kinds of animals that can eat garden plants? Not necessarily animals, critters that can eat garden plants. What do you think?
Rabbit.
Rabbit. What else?
Mice.
Mice. Yep.
Beetles.
Yep. Like the squash beetles, things like that. Yep.
Flies.
Yep. They can really make a mess. We're going to learn about the ways some kinds of pests damage our garden plants. And I have 2 volunteers, Chase and Maddie. Oh, already got them. Chase and Maddie, front and center. I'm going to give them some new names. Maddie is pest 1, and Chase is pest 2. Oh. Each one of these is in our garden, and they are going to do damage to our plants in different ways. We're going to pretend like this water cup is a leaf, okay? And what I want them to do, and you can see how everything looks now, I want them to turn around so their backs are to you. Turn around, look at the back wall. And they're going to show us what kind of damage they do to a plant. And then I want you guys to figure out what pest 1 did, and then figure out what pest 2 did. Turn back around. What did pest number 1 do to her pretend leaf? Ryan?
Sucked on it, like, broke it.
And what happened to the leaf?
It dissolved, kind of. Like, got, like, it went away.
Yeah. The tomato plants that I brought in last week were infested with aphids at the nursery. And the aphids were all over it, and that is what they were doing. Their mouth part is, they're called a sucking insect, and they suck the juice out of the leaves. What kind of damage did pest 2 do?
He took a bite out of the apple.
Yep. What kind of pest might do damage like that?
He could be a caterpillar.
Could be a caterpillar. Those tomato hornworms actually eat bites out of tomatoes. They don't like the bite taken out there. Write your name at the top, and then you're going to need your crayons, because these are different kinds of pests that were coming to our garden. And I have a little characteristics paper, and I want you to color your critters, your pests, the colors that I tell you to color. And then we're going to discuss whether they are a sucking insect or a biting insect. The first one we're going to do is squash bug. Got your crayons ready? The squash bug is a big gray bug that sucks plant juices out of squash, pumpkin, zucchini, and gourds. They make the leaves turn yellow and dry out. What color should you color that bug? What color should it be? A big gray bug. Color it red. What color should your leaf be? You know what? I like that. Caleb says yellow because the sucking insect is on the leaf. There you go. It says they also lay red eggs the size of pinheads on the underside of the leaf. So if you can see where the underside of the leaf is, you can draw what color eggs. What color are the eggs?
Red.
Red. Then it says the ones that are hatch are bright green with black legs. And at the very beginning, I said the squash bug is a big gray bug that what? Plant juices. Sucks them. So you should put an X by the picture of the insect with the sucking tool thing.